Hey, happy Halloween. Man, it seems like it was just Christmas. This year is flying by.
No, it's not.
It is totally flying. March 31st, we're having fun yet again. I was thinking, you know what? Dig out your Halloween costume and put it on. Who cares? Wear it around the house because you're not going to fit into that Elsa dress in first grade, that's for sure, because you're going to keep growing. So dig them out, put them on, and have fun for today. All right, you'll notice that I found yet another Build-A-Bear. This one has pumpkins on its fur with the cape that glows in the dark, apparently. You won't be here to see that happen, but just trust us.
Just wait.
Just wait. We're going to wait till the sun goes down. There's a little trick-or-treat bag for the cat, so isn't that fun? All right, one more small thing, and then we're going to call up Jackson for our craft. Jackson and I made our own candles from a kit from Michael's. Don't waste your money. It was not as much fun as it should have been. It was a waste. Yeah, so, okay. Please welcome our special guest, Jackson. He's a little slow.
I'm coming, Mrs. Zsigray.
See if you notice anything different about him.
Hi guys, I'm Mrs. Zsigray from 2 years from now. I'm an elder.
2 years. Hopefully more years than that.
Well, if you don't get your roots touched up during this time, that's what your hair's gonna look like.
Copy that. I'm gonna cut mine and you look fantastic.
Thank you.
All right.
Do you see the pearl necklace, guys?
Oh.
Oh, well, it fell.
Oh, where's your pearls?
I can't see.
There's your pearls. We had a cardigan too, but that seemed like too much.
Yeah, we don't want to be
Too
extra.
much.
Yeah.
Yes. He didn't want to wear the little thing to tuck all his hair underneath either. He wanted to just let it go. Luckily he shaved, so there's that. Otherwise that would have been even funnier.
What?
Pardon? All right. So
That's she can't hear now to save her life, so that's not that far off.
2 years from now.
All right. So we're gonna make 2 easy Halloween crafts because we're pretending that it's Halloween. All right, the first, it's all ghost themed. So there's these little ghosts. Aren't they cute? You have it backwards. You have the winking one. Turn it around.
I have to look at it. This is Zsigray.
All right, so Jackson, grab 2 cotton balls. It was either this or the Chewbacca costume, and he went with the old lady. Okay, you need a Kleenex. Oh dear.
Dear, oh dear.
Here, there's yours. This is the head of your ghost. Put it in your Kleenex. 2 cotton balls. You got me so far at home?
2 cotton
in
balls.
the Kleenex.
In the Kleenex.
Okay. Now you need dental floss. If you don't have dental floss, any type of little rope would be fine. Yours is right there, Granny. Okay, you're gonna tie it around to have your ghost.
My fingers aren't as nimble as they used to be.
Okay, so now you have your little ghost, right? And I'm gonna cut these off with scissors, but we use the scissors to make the glue candles, Jackson. Okay, so they're dirty. Okay, then, so far so good. Then you're gonna give it whatever face you want. I have a winky face, a lady face with a smile, scary face. All right, so however you wanna make your face, Jackson's gonna attempt to make a face and then we'll move on to our next one. It's about as good as you would expect, given the drawing from yesterday. Oh boy, okay. Wow, all right.
I drew myself.
Okay, it's a self-portrait. All right, the second one. Keep in mind, I try really hard to come up with things that you have at home already. That's why they're both kind of lame and ghost themed.
They're fantastic.
Thank you for your support.
They're sharp.
Sharp. All right, that's
what the
what
cool kids say now.
That's right. Here's your other ghost. All right. So we're not going to make one because you can figure it out. You need a paper plate, toilet paper.
Back when the Civil War happened, we still had toilet paper.
You're going to have your plate. You're going to take toilet paper on the back and give it a face. And there's your other ghost craft. All right.
I think it's nap time.
Do you think? Here's, zoom in on my little house, Dylan, that I had at my table at KB. It had a whole lot more glitter on it before the kids touched it every single day, 12 times a day. All right, thanks, Jackson. All right, stay tuned for the book. All right, back to Flat Stanley. You'll remember the end of chapter 1. He was 4 feet tall, a foot wide, and ½ an inch thick. Chapter 2, being flat. When Stanley got used to being flat, he enjoyed it. He could go in and out of rooms even when the door was closed, just by lying down and sliding through the crack at the bottom. Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop said it was silly, but they were quite proud of him. All right, here's a picture.
Well, isn't that something?
Mm-hmm. Arthur got jealous and tried to slide under a door, but he just banged his head. Being flat could also be helpful, Stanley found. He was taking a walk with Mrs. Lambchop one afternoon when her favorite ring fell from her finger. The ring rolled across the sidewalk and down between the bars of a grating that covered a deep, dark shaft. Mrs. Lambchop began to cry. "I have an idea," Stanley said. He took the laces out of his shoes and an extra pair out of his pocket and tied them all together to make one long lace. Then he tied one end of that to the back of his belt and gave his other end to his mother. "Lower me," he said, "and I will look for the ring." There he goes. Oh boy. "Thank you, Stanley," Mrs. Lambchop said. She lowered him between the bars and moved him carefully up and down and from side to side so that he could search the whole floor of the shaft. 2 policemen came by and stared at Mrs. Lambchop as she stood holding the long lace that ran down through the grating. She pretended not to notice them. "What's the matter, lady?" the first policeman asked. "Is your yo-yo stuck?" "I am not playing with a yo-yo," Mrs. Lambchop said sharply. "My son is at the other end of this lace, if you must know." There he is. "Get the net, Harry," said the second policeman. "We have caught a cuckoo." Just then, down in the shaft, Stanley cried out, "Hooray!" Mrs. Lambchop pulled him up and saw that he had the ring. "Good for you," she said, Stanley. Then she turned angrily to the policeman. "A cuckoo indeed," she said. "Shame." The policeman apologized. "We didn't get it, lady," they said. "We have been hasty." Hasty. We see that now. "People should think twice before making rude remarks," said Mrs. Lambchop, "and then not make them at all." There he is with the ring. Ta-da!
Got it.
The policeman realized that was a good rule and said they would try to remember it. One day, Stanley got a letter from his friend, Thomas Anthony Jeffrey,
It's a really long name.
whose family had moved recently to California. A school vacation was about to begin, and Stanley was invited to spend it with the Jeffreys. "Oh boy," Stanley said, "I would love to go." Mr. Lambchop sighed. "A round-trip train or airplane ticket to California is very expensive," he said. "I will have to think of some cheaper way." When Mr. Lambchop came home from the office that evening, he brought with him an enormous brown paper envelope. Uh-oh. What do we think is going to go in the envelope?
A tortoise.
A tortoise. "Now then, Stanley," he said, "try this for size." The envelope fit Stanley very well. There was even room left over. Mrs. Lambchop discovered for an egg salad sandwich made of thin bread and a toothbrush case filled with milk, it all fit. They had to put a great many stamps on the envelope to pay for both airmail and insurance. But it was still much less expensive than a train or airplane ticket to California. The next day, Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop slid Stanley into his envelope along with the egg salad sandwich and the toothbrush case full of milk and mailed him from the box on the corner.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't feel like you're believing this story, Dan. The envelope had to be folded to fit through the slot, but Stanley was a limber boy, and inside the box he straightened right up again. Mrs. Lambchop was nervous because Stanley had never been away from home alone before.
Let alone in an envelope in the mail.
She rapped on the box. "Can you hear me, dear?" she called. "Are you all right?" Stanley's voice came quite clearly. "I'm fine. Can I eat my sandwich now?" "Wait an hour and try not to get overheated, dear," Mrs. Lambchop said. Then she and Mr. Lambchop cried out, "Goodbye, goodbye," and went home. Stanley had a fine time in California. All right, here's the picture of him being shoved in the mailbox.
Seems dangerous.
They were thrilled to be getting rid of their
You
son.
think they were? Arthur's probably happy. When the visit was over, the Jeffreys returned him in a beautiful white envelope they had made themselves. It had red and blue markings to show that it was airmail, and Thomas Jeffrey had lettered it "valuable" and "fragile." And this end up on both sides. Back home, Stanley told his family that he had been handled so carefully he never felt a single bump. Mr. Lambchop said it proved that jet planes were wonderful, and so was the Postal Service, and that this was a great age in which to live. Stanley thought so too. All right, that's the end of the chapter. See you tomorrow.